Deep within the whispering woods, where moonbeams painted silver pathways on the mossy ground, lived a young hedgehog named Harold, unlike his brothers and sisters, whose spines formed perfect, impenetrable spheres at the slightest rustle or shadow. Harold's spines remained stubbornly straight. No amount of tucking, curling, or determined grunting could coax them into that protective ball. He felt it acutely whenever danger whispered through the trees, while his siblings vanished into safe. Prickly orbs, Harold stood exposed, his soft belly vulnerable. His heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He tried hiding under large ferns or pressing himself flat against ancient tree trunks. But it never felt like enough. A profound sense of being different, of being broken in a fundamental way, settled over him like a persistent morning mist, chilling him despite the warm summer nights. Harold watched his family with a quiet ache. His mother, Hilda, would gently nudge him towards the safest burrow entrance when owls hooted overhead, her eyes filled with love, but also an unspoken worry. His siblings, while not unkind, couldn't quite understand, just curled tighter. Harold. Little Hazel would chirp before vanishing into her own perfect ball. Playful chases often ended abruptly for Harold when the others instinctively rolled away from perceived threats. Leaving him alone and bewildered in the clearing, he spent more and more time on the fringes of their bustling burrow life, venturing deeper into the woods on solitary walks, seeking solace in the quiet company of tall, silent trees and the gentle gurgle of the hidden brook. He felt like a puzzle piece that didn't fit the picture everyone else saw so clearly. One blustery autumn evening, a fierce storm descended upon the whispering woods. The wind howled like a wounded creature, tearing leaves from branches and sending them swirling in chaotic dances. Rain lashed down in icy sheets. Alarmed, the hedgehog family immediately began their practiced routine, tumbling into perfect, water-shedding balls near the sturdiest oak root. Harold, quick, roll up, Hilda called out, her voice barely audible over the gale. Harold tried. He clenched every muscle, pulled his nose towards his tail with all his might, his tiny claws digging into the muddy earth, but his spines remained resolutely fanned out. The wind buffeted him. The rain soaked his fur and chilled him to the bone. He huddled miserably against the oak, trembling, utterly exposed, while his family waited out the storm safely. In case the feeling of helplessness was a physical weight, heavier than the rain. As the seasons turned and winter's grip began to loosen, a different kind of urgency gripped the woods. Early spring floods caused the Hidden Brook to swell far beyond its banks, turning gentle paths into treacherous streams. News spread quickly. A family of field mice, their home flooded, were stranded on a rapidly shrinking island of mud and roots midstream, the frantic parents unable to carry all their tiny, terrified babies across the rushing, icy water. All the woodland creatures gathered at the bank, chattering nervously. Squirrels chittered about the strong current, rabbits twitched their noses in worry, and even the usually brave badger shook his head. It's too fast, too deep. No one can swim that safely carrying a baby, he rumbled. Harold watched the tiny, shivering shapes on the island, their faint cries carried on the breeze. His own fear of inadequacy surged, but so did a fierce, unfamiliar pull in his chest, while others debated impossible plans or lamented the danger. Harold moved. He didn't think about rolling up. He thought about staying up. He waded carefully into the frigid water. At a calmer bend upstream, the current tugged at his legs, but his unusually long, strong spines, always a source of shame, suddenly became anchors. He dug them firmly into the soft bank below the waterline, providing surprising stability. Step by careful step, moving diagonally against the flow, he made his way towards the stranded mice. The water rose to his chest, its cold stealing his breath, but his unwavering spines held him fast against the pull. He focused only on the tiny, hopeful eyes watching his approach, pushing his own fear aside with each determined movement. Reaching the muddy island was only half the battle. The mouse parents, trembling with cold and fear, gently placed their smallest babies onto Harold's back. Hold tight to his spines, little ones. The mother mouse urged. Harold felt the tiny claws gripping his prickles. The very spines that refused to curl now became perfect handholds. Taking a deep breath, Harold began the painstaking journey back. He moved slowly, meticulously planting each paw, using his spines like climbing pitons to anchor himself against the relentless push of the water. The babies clung on, safe above the rushing flow, sheltered by his body. One by one, he ferried all the mouse infants across, then guided the exhausted parents. Each trip was a monumental effort against the freezing current, but Harold's unique build and unwavering resolve proved equal to the task. Exhausted, but glowing with a warmth he'd never known, Harold finally reached the far bank. A hushed silence fell over the watching animals, replaced instantly by a wave of relieved cheers and chirps. The mouse family huddled together, safe and dry, nuzzling Harold's damp legs with endless gratitude. His own family rushed forward. Hazel touched his straight spines with newfound awe. Harold, Hilda whispered, her voice thick with emotion, tears mixing with the river water on her fur. Your spines, they weren't meant to hide you away, they were meant to hold you steady, to help others hold on. Harold looked around at the faces of his neighbors, no longer seeing pity or confusion, but respect and profound thanks. He hadn't become a ball. He had become a bridge, a lifeline. The familiar ache of being different melted away, replaced by a deep, quiet understanding of his own unique strength. That night, as the moon cast its gentle light over the whispering woods once more, Harold lay contentedly near his burrow entrance. The sounds of the woods, the owls, the rustling leaves, the distant brook, no longer filled him with dread. He felt the cool earth beneath him, the soft night air on his face, and the comforting presence of his family nearby. He knew he still couldn't roll into a ball, but that was perfectly all right. He had discovered his own way of being safe, his own way of being strong. His straight spines, catching the moonlight like tiny silver spears, were no longer a flaw, but a testament to his courage, a symbol of how his difference had become his greatest gift. He closed his eyes, a small, peaceful smile on his snout. Perfectly Harold, perfectly safe, perfectly himself. The gentle rhythm of the woods finally felt like a lullaby sung just for him.